Something special? There's a belt on the guitar case, Joe. What's going on?
All right, well, this is a replica of what I picked up in 2015 from Norm Harris at Norm's Rare Guitars. And we've done an Epiphone version of this guitar, and there's been talk for the last now 6 or 7 years about doing a aged Murphy Lab custom shop, like Mac Daddy version of Amos.
Oh, great. Okay.
And when I got Amos from Norm, it had a belt on the case because the latch on this side was gone, and these cases are not, the latches can come loose, and then you don't want your Flying V just kind of falling out.
Sure, we don't want that, no.
And it became a thing with the belt.
Really?
And both of my Flying Vs have belts to keep it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but this, a friend of mine, my friend Chris in Las Vegas, he likes vintage clothes and stuff like that. Apparently the belt is actually a very cool vintage belt. I said, but I can't give you the belt. It goes with Amos's case.
Yeah. This
one here we've been working on for about 1.5 years. Okay. And I've been playing a replica Amos on the road for about 1.5 years.
Okay.
And the custom shop did it, and it's great, and it's every bit as good of a Flying V as something old, except you don't have the liability of bringing out literally a unicorn guitar. It's a one of a kind because of the story with Arthur's music, how it was lost, how the photo circulated with Amos Arthur in the store with this crazy look on his face going, this thing sucks, and then, and how it was sold and disappeared since like the 70s, and Norm had it, and it was the guitar was in Spinal Tap, and it's in the Ledger, which not all the Flying Vs are in the Ledger, and I spent some time with Ernest Tubb's guitar player, Pete Mitchell. We figured that out because when Pete unfortunately passed on a few years ago, his widow posted a picture of him playing a Flying V with a big chunk out of the skid plate under the bottom, and it's got a black guard and a white input jack, and the grains kind of match up. I'm like, well, there's your guitar.
Yeah.
And he apparently bought it in 1959 or 60 because it did sit in Arthur's Music for several years, and played it with Ernest Tubb. And then by 1965, he had traded the V for a Gretsch Country Gentleman.
Whoa.
And probably thinking he got the better end of the deal. And the guitar's history goes completely silent until about 1973, 72 or 73, and Norm bought it, and he stuck it in his stash. It was the last Carina guitar he kept, and he sold it to me in 2015. Wow. So Norm's excited because he's already ordered one of these.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a very limited amount. They're not cheap, but nothing nice these days is cheap.
Right. And this one,
an In-N-Out hamburger is $20.
I mean, but it's nice.
But it's nice. You can't have nice things, and it can't be cheap. I know there's going to be the blowback. Wow, blah blah blah. The price. It is what it is. If you want something they work very hard getting these things, down to the finest detail.
Yes.
It is a craft. It's a crafted guitar.
Right.
It's not an assembly line instrument. Is a crafted guitar that was made literally 3 blocks from where we're shooting this thing, and somebody worked very hard on this. And thank you to Matt Kaler, who insisted on sourcing the belt and a few of the Nerdville tag, which those come. Well, that's whatever.
And that belt is like, you can take that belt off the case and wear it if you want.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's a straight up belt.
It's a straight up belt.
This is amazing. So, and you don't do unboxing videos. This is the closest we're going to get.
Nah, I think that's for
This is you just opening up the case, which I'm excited about.
All right, let's see what we got.
This is awesome.
My least favorite thing to do in the world is unbox a guitar. All right, so the original one that they made a couple years ago wasn't they went off pictures and didn't have the source guitar. This time they had the source guitar for a while. And so Amos was in Nashville for a good 6 months.
Oh, right, and this is where we go ahead and scan it.
And they scanned it and they had it in hand. So the original one that they built for me, just because they were just nice people, and I asked for one, is they just did it off a photo. So this one is really, truly the proper color of the original guitar. And, you know, Amos has this really unique, some of these Flying Vs. Pete Townsend had a V with a black pickguard and a white jack plate.
Yeah.
It is a very unique thing. And they even recreated the chunk out of the thing. That's how we figured out
wild.
It was Pete Mitchell's, was because it had this chunk missing. And you're going, well, how many of these can there be? It's not a common thing for this thing to just fall out.
Yeah.
And, you know, even down to the details where they get the little dip here and, you know, and
so this is Murphy Lab aged.
It's Murphy Lab aged. And it's,
very nice.
And it's really, really nice. And, again, a human being did this. It wasn't done on a, you know, it wasn't like, you know, put into a computer and robots did it. So a human being has to go through and fastidiously not only scratch it in the same spots, but, you know, Flying V's check in a very unique way. They're like reverse chevrons.
Yes.
So they're all 2-piece bodies. So here's piece 1, piece 2, and they check like this, not
that.
And which is hard to replicate. So, you know, and the fret's the same size as the one that are on Amos, and the little monoplaque.
Yes, let's take a look at that for a second.
So the monoplaque was an aftermarket truss rod cover that fit on Gibsons and Guilds, and they would sell them at music stores. Had no affiliation to anybody other than it was.
Oh, so the music store would just put it on.
Well, it was an aftermarket accessory that if you wanted to put your name on the guitar, you'd buy the blanks and then have an engraver. And so Amos Arthur had I want to say it's a ES 150 or 300 or something, kind of a single pickup jazz box, which the family still has. And they were nice enough to loan me the monoplaque so I could recreate it. So there's a original monoplaque that's been engraved Amos Arthur on Amos proper. I gave the original one back to the family, and then we recreated it here. And I'm sure you can, if you don't like that, you can just put the other one on there.
You can't do that. That's the one, man.
But it does denote what it is.
Yeah.
It came out great. They've really gotten a lot of details about V's right. And, you know, Amos is not perfect. Amos has extra strap button here.
Oh.
You know, this is the original placement. They put the extra strap.
Oh, I was going to ask you, there was something on the other side, too. It almost looked like a little circle of dots or something on the side.
Yeah.
What was just like some random...
Things happen to guitars.
Now, it's the humbuckers, they're called like Amos buckers.
Yeah.
So we're talking just one-to-one replica voiced of whatever that guitar is sounding like. Okay.
And not all humbuckers are created equal, especially in 57 and 58. You have to remember they were just rolling those things out. So some of them really, you know, sometimes they're really woofy in the front and really bright in the back. Amos is pretty balanced. It's got a nice clean tone in the front and it barks in the back.
Yeah.
It just depends. You know, I've seen, you know, some of my favorite PAF guitars that I own are 58s. And when the Epiphones came out, I took one down to the studio in 2017 to show the lads we were making Reese Winans' record. Oh, right. And Jack Pearson was on the session. And he was checking it out and just loved the guitar. And he asked me, he goes, do you think you can get me one of these Epiphone Amos ones? I go, not only I can do that, I can just give you this one. You can just take it home.
Wow.
And he goes, wow. I was like, do I owe you anything? I said, no, not at all. This is on me. You're one of the great guitar players that's Nashville has ever produced. I said, just do me a favor. Just send me a video of you playing the bebop gig with the Flying V.
There you go.
2 weeks later, I get a video from Jack, and he's swinging over changes like he's Charlie Christian, rocking the V on the bebop gig. And I go, That thing's the coolest thing ever.
That's great.
So,
man.
you know, it's not just for Albert King and rock and roll, you know, but you have to understand that, like, you know, when this guitar came out, it was not a success. Same thing with the Explorer. There's only about 100 of these, you know, real ones.
Parents weren't wanting to buy these, you know, for the kids, right? It's a little too.
You would have to have some forward-thinking parents to fork out. I think it was $269 or $289 for this. And, you know, I mean, it barks.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds fantastic.
It's Flying V. Like, you know, every time I only use the Flying V for maybe 1 or 2 songs a night, and when it comes out, the audience goes, "Oh, something cool is going to happen. He's got the Flying V." I want to make sure, like we talked about, the Epiphone 849.
Yes.
That is for people that are just working musicians that want to go out there and rock, and it's going to sound great.
Dude, it sounded amazing.
This is more of a collector thing for people who are into, you know, the whole story of the guitar. It's beyond me.
And we call it collector's edition.
There are collector's editions, and it's Amos will go to somebody else, and the story of that guitar, it supersedes my ownership and custodianship of it.
Yeah.
And it's a very famous guitar because of the provenance. Not many of these things can you trace back to the original music store that says, you know, May 22nd, 1958, shipped to Arthur Music in Indianapolis, and they're still open. I'm going to see Amy on Saturday.
Nice.
And Amy and Linda. And it's, you know, it's one of those things where it's part of this company's history, and it has nothing to do with my ownership, or whether you like the way I play or not. It has nothing to do with it. So these are for a specialty buyer.
Yeah.
And that really that dig the story. And that's what I collect. I don't collect guitars, I collect the story. And this is one hell of a story.
This comes with all the case candy, of course, all the goodness, the COAs, all that good stuff.
It even comes with tags. I don't have tags for Amos.
Yeah, I'll get.
I've never even seen a Flying V tag, like in the wild. I've never seen one.
Really?
Yeah.
So this, you'll get that.
Yeah, you get a tag. They did it right. They recreated the case. You know, these cases alone are like a fortune.
What are you hearing out of the V compared to like a Paul or something?
It's brighter.
Brighter.
It's just the tone wood. It's the African limba.